The front squat is the most important strength movement for mountain hunters because of the effect it has on leg strength, especially the quads, hip strength, and core strength, while also limiting putting stress on your spine. You're gonna do enough of that with your pack on. So today I'm gonna walk you through how to do it from setting up with the bar on your shoulders to foot position to finding your depth as I do a 5 sets of 5 front squat workout. Now, a lot of folks fail to warm up as well as they should. When I say that, I mean that they don't ramp up in weight. They just jump into the weight that they want to use for their working sets, and that limits their ability to warm up their nervous system. So you want your nervous system to get excited so that you have more output, and then also it's safer. On top of that, it starts to get your muscles and tendons and ligaments acclimated to moving weight. So what you want to do is ramp up. So for example, I'm doing sets of 5 today. My goal is to do those around 205 pounds. So I did a handful of reps with the bar. I'm gonna do a couple sets of 3 here at 135, and then I'm gonna do a set of 3 or so at 185. And that ramp up excites my nervous system, gets the rest of my body ready to move weight so that I can perform, and so the squats are safer when I do them. Another important thing to talk about is bar height. A lot of people set the bar way too high when they do front squats, so it makes it tough to get the bar in and out of the rack. And so that, because you have to get off balance to do it, right? So you gotta get up higher, step back and do it. So what I like to do is set it right about nipple height. So you have to do like maybe 1/8 of a squat to get it out of the rack, but that allows you to come back in much more safely because you're gonna be compressed at the end of the set, like you're not gonna be standing up as tall. So setting it around nipple height puts you in a really good position to make sure that you're safe getting in and out of the rack. The thing we have to talk about is foot placement. Everybody's squat stance is going to be a little bit different, but what we want to find is the position that allows us to distribute the weight in the middle of our feet while lining up our feet with our femurs or our thighs. This allows us to put as much force into the ground as possible while also stacking our joints in the safest position. So there's going to be a combination of width and external rotation of your feet that's going to work best for you. Everybody has different ankle mobility. Everybody has different hip setup and different hip mobility. And so you have to find that. Easy way to find it is to set your feet and sink down. Can you get your femur in line with the middle of your foot while keeping the weight balanced in the middle of your foot? So if you squat down and it sits you too far back on your heels, either spread your feet out or turn your feet a little bit more and find that position where you can push right through the middle of your feet so you maintain your balance and you can maintain your force. All right, let's talk about strategies for getting under the bar. There are 2 main ones. You've likely seen them before. There's the crossover method, and then there's the clean grip method. I like the clean grip method because it's more stable. You can just make it more stable on your shoulders. But not everybody has the mobility in their wrists and in the extensibility in their triceps and the mobility in their shoulders to get their bar into that position. So clean grip though, let's start with that. I like to go with 2 fingers. You don't really need to put your whole hand on there for stability because a lot of people, they just get limited because they just don't, their fingers and their hands don't flex enough to be able to do that. So 2 fingers is fine. Get a sink, come up into the bar, lift your neck, and then sit down. This allows it to get the bar right on your clavicle, and then you're gonna get your arms up to parallel. So the bottom of your arm is parallel with the ground. Now, as you sit there, you wanna keep driving your elbows up. Otherwise, if you don't, they're gonna sink and the weight's gonna pull you forward. Another really important thing, no matter which grip you use, is you want to think about driving your force into the bar the whole time. Don't just think about standing up, don't just think about pushing the floor away. Think about driving into the bar. This is gonna keep the weight over the leverage points of your body and keep you much more stable. So then you're locked in both positions. You have your feet locked in, you're locked into the bar, your force goes into the ground, then up into the bar. Now, with the cross grip, make sure you're centered. So an easy way to do that, set your fingers, walk forward, one hand, other hand, same thing, push straight up, okay? And then from there, it's back, sit, and make sure that these stay parallel with the floor as well. Again, drive them up and then drive yourself into the bar. That's gonna be the best way to lock yourself into the bar and ensure that all of your force going into the ground goes into the weight and doesn't get wasted in movement going in other directions. Another thing we need to mention is squat depth. How deep should you go? Well, that depends on where you can find control. An easy way to do that is to get down in the deepest squat you can manage, start to rise up, and as you do, push your feet, try to spread the floor with your feet gently. It doesn't have to be super hard. Come up, try to spread the floor gently, and then you'll feel a point where you can really spread hard and you have control over your core and your control over your hips. That's what it should feel like in the bottom position of the squat. Now, is your bottom position going to be exactly the same place as what you just found when you did this? Not necessarily. But what we're doing is creating a feeling for reference so you know what it should feel like when you get there. All right, I'm going to hit my first set at 205 here, but before I do that, I want to talk to you about what you should do with your core while you're squatting. The biggest thing is maintaining what's called the tall and tight position. That means your hips are pointing at your ribs are pointing at your hips. That keeps you from overextending your spine, and it allows your hips to do the work that they need to do and your legs to do the work that they need to do while keeping your spine safe. Do that, lock it in with a little bit of a brace. You don't have to super squeeze your abs because holding the weight on the front of your body is gonna do a lot of that work for you. Now, you can breathe in before you go down, but the big thing is you wanna breathe behind that brace. So get a little air in, everything should tighten up. You do your squat, come up, reset your air, and go again. Sometimes you can do a couple or a few reps without resetting your air. Sometimes you can reset in between. Just depends on the person. But the biggest thing is really making sure that you get that position locked in before you go. It's gonna give you more range of motion, it's gonna give you more control, and it's gonna keep your spine safer, okay? All right, I'm gonna give you more of a side view on this set. Before I do that, I need to warn you. I was born with congenital scoliosis, so I got a bit of a humpback like Quasimodo, so just ignore that as you watch me squat. All right, so I'm going back down to 185 for my last two sets because I want to make sure I leave the appropriate amount of reps in reserve. Reps in reserve means how many reps you have left in the tank at the end of the set. We use it as a way to moderate intensity. So we're giving our body the right amount of intensity for that lift based on the goal. So for example, we're doing 4 reps in reserve. That means if you're doing a set of 5, you should feel like you could have done that weight for 9 reps. What this does is gives you enough stress to get stronger without giving your body too much stress that it can't adapt, especially when you're training for hunting and you have all of these other types of training to do on top of your strength work. So modulating your intensity, I know this doesn't necessarily have to do with just front squats, it has to do with pretty much any lift that you want to do. To dial in your intensity is really important, because if you just go about it willy-nilly, or if you're at max reps all the time, you're going to give your body too much stress, you're not going to adapt, and you're going to end up starting to go backwards. Okay, so I'm going to do this out with 185. Felt pretty good. Front squats are crucial for building your leg drive, for making your core strong, and for making your quads really, really resilient. So the biggest things to remember are, make sure you have that bar anchored in right across your clavicle with either the clean grip or the cross grip. Get your feet set so you have the weight centered in the middle of your feet all the time, and then find your depth by dropping down, rising back up, finding where you can maintain tension, and then as you start to do your sets, make sure you find that position when you squat down with the bottom position. Also, don't forget to ramp up to your working rate, and always leave a few reps in the tank so you don't give your body too much stress.